Hi, this is Graham Robertson, and welcome to the Beloved Brands Mini MBA. I designed this to help you invest in yourself so that you can help your career. Our Mini MBA focuses on 5 areas. We want to teach you to think, define, plan, execute, and analyze with better strategic thinking, brand positioning work, brand plans, marketing execution, and brand analytics. I designed the program around the 5 main pain points that I see with many marketing leaders today. When you jump into tactics, I know that you're missing out on the underlying issues that could be holding the brand back. When you make the mistake of trying to be anything to anyone, your brand ends up being nothing to everyone. When you try to do too many things in your plans, every idea lacks enough resources to make the impact they expect. When your marketing execution is not aligned to the strategy, everyone on the team works in silos. And what a consumer see? A disjointed and confused brand. When you do not analyze deep enough, you write or speak with random opinions rather than a reality of what's happening. So I took those 5 pain points, and that's what forms the agenda of our program. We go through different videos on strategic thinking to show each type of strategy, and then we go through the brand positioning work, defining the target, exploring consumer benefits, and coming up with a brand positioning statement and brand idea. In the planning section, we'll teach you how to write each element, including the vision, key issues and strategies, and the execution plans. We then move to marketing execution. We'll go through the process, the creative brief, and how to make decisions. And with respect to that, we'll go through some of the advertising out there and creative decision-making and media planning tools. And finally, we go into the brand analytics. We start with the principles of analytics, and then we go through different areas to show you. And my name is Graham Robertson. What I bring is a real-world experience, having been in marketing for most of my career. And we're going to really focus on those 5 pain points I mentioned with analytics, strategy, positioning, plans, and execution. What I want you to do is to learn to make smarter decisions, produce better work, and deliver stronger growth for the brand you work on. I mentioned the real world experience. I worked at J&J, General Mills, Coke, and Pfizer, and have been at every level of marketing. And finally, I wrote a book, Beloved Brands, which helps bring all these concepts to life. My goal with this program is to help you unlock your full potential. The first section we go through is strategic thinking. And here I want you to slow down and be able to uncover those unique circumstances your brand is facing. We look at various skills within this program, help you determine your brand's core strength, the consumer bond, competitive dynamic, and business situation. We really want to use that vision as a magnet to define a better future and then map out challenging, interruptive, strategic questions. And then from there, build out strategic programs. So as you can see on the right-hand side, these are some of the tools we go through in the program. One of the things I always ask people to do is to look at their leadership style. How do you think and how do you decide? When we look at these 2 dimensions, if you are a slower thinker and use logic and rational, that is the strategic thinker space. The fast, logical thinker becomes the taskmaster. The instinctual thinker is a fast thinker but uses their emotions and instincts. And then the consensus socializer uses that slower and emotional thinking to really talk with others and talk through problems. One of the things in marketing is we come in with a natural strength and a natural weakness. But what we have to do is to find ways to maneuver through each of these styles and use the right style at the right time. I mentioned that slower, deeper thinking in the strategy area. I see strategic thinkers, they see questions before they look for answers. And that's where we lead you in our strategic section, is to try to come up with the best questions. Instinctual thinkers sometimes see answers before they even know the question. That's the right style to use when you're judging execution work. So later on in the program, when we get to the marketing execution, I want you to use those fast emotional instincts. In our strategy area, we really focus on two different strategic thinking tools. One, the strategic think box, is to trigger your thinking. And then we use these 5 elements to organize and communicate your thinking. The vision, issues, program, accelerator, and the results as a way to frame that strategic thinking. And you'll see that comes to life in our planning section when you need to demonstrate to others what your thinking really is. In our strategic think box, we introduce these 4 different questions. We want to find out your core strength, your bond with your consumers, the competitive situation, and the business situation. And what we do is we introduce different tools for you to play around with. Our core strength finder, trying to determine if your lead strength should be the product, the story, the experience, or the price. And then ask yourself, are you lined up to it and delivering it? In the bond with the consumer, we look at our brand love curve as brands move from unknown to indifferent to like it, to love it, and to beloved. And that influences your strategy. As we look at the competitive situation, are you the dominant power player at the top of your category? Or are you all the way down to the craft player who's the smallest niche type player? And we look at those 4 different styles. And finally, your business situation also matters, because that's going to be where you're going to take your resources from, the business. And are you trying to continue the momentum, fix it, realignment, or a startup? And then that leads us into coming up with the best questions. We use our think box in order to trigger out questions on the brand. In terms of organizing your thinking and communicating that with others, we use these 5 elements of strategic thinking. Start with the vision of where you want to be, the key issues, what's in the way of that vision. The program is what you're investing in. The accelerator is going to be the proof that your program will work. And the result, both the market impact and the performance result of how all this pays back. And that's how we're going to structure our communication within the planning. We're going to learn to set a vision, and we'll show you that tool within our program. And then we showed you a minute ago how to come up with these key issue questions. And then for each question, we answer it with our PAR technique, where we figure out what program it is, what is the accelerator that gives us proof that this will work, and what's the expected result, moving the customer along the journey, tightening the bond, building brand power or profit. This is where we get to, out of our strategic thinking space, to the best questions. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Use our process to find the best questions on your business. Our second section looks at brand positioning. And here we're going to define the consumer profile, using insights and enemies. And then we're going to get into the brand positioning stuff with functional and emotional benefits. So in this area, we have these different skills and tools that we'll introduce you to. I want you to learn to build out that consumer profile with consumer insights. I want you to turn features into benefits. And that's where we'll use our benefit cheat sheets to come up with that brand positioning statement and learn how to write a brand concept with a brand idea that helps to summarize everything. Our positioning process starts with that overall consumer profile. We'll introduce our benefits ladder to show you how to move up from the features to the functional to the emotional, and how to summarize it into an overall benefit driven brand positioning statement. We'll introduce our brand idea tool that summarizes everything, and then wrap it up with a concept that takes all that work and puts it into one defined concept that includes the brand idea, the insights, the message, the support points, visuals, and a call to action. Our process goes through how to define the consumer target. We add in accelerated needs when those moments, when the needs get heightened. We talk about consumer enemy to take a problem and dial it up into a more conceptual and emotional enemy. And then we layer in the insights. And that's our starting point for building out a consumer profile. And that's one of the tools that we think is essential before you start the positioning. In our brand positioning statement, we start off with what you do best. That's the features. And then we move to the functional and emotional benefits. We take those statements and combine them into different functional and emotional statements. We show you a process for how to judge what are the best statements and show you how to come up with an optimized benefit statement that can be the crux of your brand positioning. We introduce two unique tools. One is the functional benefit cheat sheet, which has 12 different zones and over 50 different possible benefits to choose from. And the same thing with our emotional cheat sheet. What we do is we focus on 2 or 3 zones for each type of brand, and that's how we build our overall ladder. And you can start to see what you do is the features, what consumers get are the benefits, and how it makes them feel is the emotional benefits. We then show how to combine all that work into a winning brand positioning statement. And then we look to summarize this with a brand idea. And the brand idea sits between what you want the brand to be and what the consumer sees. And it's a summary of that brand soul. We use our brand idea map to really stretch that brand idea across different parts of the business, whether that's the promise, the story, the innovation, the purchase moment, and the consumer experience. And all that leads into building a brand reputation. And only when we find that space where the brand soul, the brand idea, and the reputation are equal will we find the harmony and it's working at its best. We provide some tools for how to come up with a brand idea, and that's the summation, what I will refer to as the 7-second pitch, and put all that work into a brand concept. That brand idea becomes the headline. The insight is what sets up that connection with the consumer. The main benefit is the promise statement. The support points are the reason to believe. We add in key visuals and a call to action to complete that concept. I showed you earlier about the brand idea map, and we could see that this helps to organize each area. So while you may be in marketing, you have to organize different people in different spaces. So yes, the marketing is likely going to be taking on the brand promise and story, likely with an agency partner. And then innovation could even be with R&D people. The purchase moment is your sales or even retail. And then your happy experiences you want to create is the overall culture of the company. In our third section, we move to the brand planning space. And what this is important is establishing the overall plan that everyone can follow, as well as you gaining approval for that plan. And here we have different skills, taking your thinking and translating that into key issues and statements that can form the basis of your plan. We really design our process to go through each of the elements of vision, purpose, values, goals, issues, strategies, and tactics. We show you how to write and present the plan, and then develop smart execution plans as well. Our process comes out of the work that you'll do on the analytics, and that leads you into the strategic think box. We showed you how to get those questions in the strategic area, and from there I can build an overall plan. We have a unique process that we show how to come up with a vision statement. And there we have a balance of the qualitative, of how you want to define your future, and the quantitative, how you will measure that, put a stake in the ground. We also look at, in that future, what are the 3 things that must be true? So here we've got, for Gray's Cookies, 3 different elements of taste, breakthrough, and popularity. And then that can help me to write a vision statement, ask the key issue questions, and write a strategy from here. And I write a strategy with this PAR technique of the program, the accelerator, and the results. And that helps me to really write a tight strategic statement that everyone can follow, whether it's in my plan that will hopefully convince finance and the president to approve it, whether I can use that statement with an agency partner or up here within my company. We provide these brand strategy statement cheat sheets for you to actually use and try out on your own brand. So what we have is using this cheat sheet, I want to look at choosing one area for each of the 3 specific elements. So I look at what I'm investing in, who am I talking to, and what's the opportunity. I then talk about the result, which defines what I will do as a brand, what the consumer will do, and then what we get as a company back from that. From there, we can teach you how to write a strategy page to use in your plan with that headline of the strategy, writing out some goals which align to the market impact and performance result, laying out the top 3 tactical programs that deliver that strategy, and then a watch out statement to make sure that you're communicating what could go wrong. We show how to build out these execution plans. We'll show you how to build out a communication and innovation, different elements of plans. We bring that PAR statement to the top of this. We take the work from the brand positioning. We layer in the market impact part of our statement as the desired response. And then we add in this case, some media specific. And we'll show you how to build an overall plan that you can use to get approval from your boss. Throughout our sessions, we include different definitions, and we could see in this case, these get into some of the executional planning definitions as well. Our 4th area is to look at marketing execution. We take the work of the plan, we take the investment that we're building, and we match that up with the brand positioning to execute into the marketplace. And in this case, we introduce our concept of this play box. So we showed you the think box tool, and now we're going to introduce the play box, which will help you to build work that focuses on the consumer target, fits with the brand, delivers the main message, and stays on strategy. We show different elements of building out a creative brief. We'll introduce our creative checklist for making decisions, as well as our innovation checklist. We'll go through different processes and talk about omni-channel marketing as well. You'll see some of these tools. We've already talked about them as well already, but we take in the first and second element. We've done some of that work in the planning and the positioning area, and then we'll show you how to take that into a creative brief. We'll introduce our decision matrix that helps us to set up that the play box tool. And then I believe that these processes can work on any type of execution, whether that's a TV ad, a website, social media, or event planning, any type of element, it should work. And this is the 4 elements of our play box. So we want to make sure that any work we do focuses on the defined target, fits with our brand, delivers our message, executes our strategy. And that is this magical play box that we're trying to find ideas that fit. Now, what we use is the creative brief to set up and define the box for our creative partners and say, here's the work we want to get to. I'll introduce as well this ABC technique that helps to match up to our play box. Will the ad capture the attention of our consumer? Will the consumer link the ad back to the brand? That's the B part of this. The C is communicating the motivating message that moves consumers. And then will it stick in the minds of consumers and deliver that strategy? We introduce our creative checklist, which will help you to define and that box and look at it and say, does this work fit? And we'll show you how to use that type of tool. And then we get into the creative brief, where we'll show you what we think is the best in class version of a creative brief fitting onto one page. These 13 different elements fit into that brief. We go through the 5 biggest flaws that I see with creative briefs: too many objectives, not enough good stuff about the consumer target, way too many messages, mandatories, and tone issues. We introduce our look at the omni-channel marketing, from brand building to sales activation and user-generated content. And so we can see there, this fits into our strategy that we showed you earlier in the cheat sheet. We want to attract, inform, close the deal, service, and delight our consumers. So that's sort of our methodology. You can see that we'll match all of the workup to that consumer journey at different stages. We go through a creative advertising process, from the strategy to inspiring the creative team to making decisions and delivering that advertising. We go through the product innovation, and we've got, in this case, 7 types of innovation, from product extensions and product improvements at the easier stage, all the way up to game-changing technology and blue ocean ideas. And what we have in this space is a checklist that allows you to define how it's working and make decisions on it. We've got a financial projection in there, as well as different elements of how it matches up to our overall consumer target, messaging, and brand. We'll also go through the collaboration between marketing and sales and how that relationship and how we work together following the same consumer journey as we attract, inform, close, service, and delight those consumers. Our 5th and final section looks at brand analytics. And these are the different skills we're going to look at in terms of brand analytics: understanding all of the different sources of data, digging deep into the data and draw out comparisons, learning to write a 360-degree deep dive business review with a SWOT analysis and a summary, and then writing analytical performance results that can help keep the business on track. In this case, we go into the deep dive business review of looking at the marketplace, the consumers, the channels, the competitors, the brand, and then writing an overall summary with each of those elements. And we're going to get pretty deep into this space. And we start with our questions for each of those sections. So we have 10 questions that will help you to probe and ask what to look at, and then start to summarize. As I like to build my story, I start with my hypothesis, and then I go look for the right data. I start to tell my story with 2 or 3 bullet points and draw out a recommendation. Now, as I go through the process, that hypothesis might be right, or I might need to adjust it. In this case, now having gotten the data, I can tell a more precise story at the top of that. So this is where I'd actually change that hypothesis. And that allows me to take this information and start to build out the ideal analytical chart with a conclusion at the top, supporting visuals and story in the middle, and then the recommendation at the bottom. We'll show you how to get to the overall summary with a summation of each of the 5 areas, and taking that and defining an overall challenge, and then building that into a business review summary with the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now that's a lot of stuff. And what you'll see is we've covered everything here of what it takes to run a brand. And we've got all that information within our training program. The brand story, the promise, the consumer knowledge, the operations, the culture, the consumer experience, the purchase moment, the innovation, and the brand story. And these are all the tools that we go through in our program. Our mini MBA includes these workbooks to allow you to try out in real time each of the exercises that we teach. So stop the video, try it out in the book, keep going back into the video. And that allows you to go through on your own learning time. We use a diversity of case studies throughout the program. These are some of the most recognizable brands. And then at the end of the program, we provide you with a certificate that you can display on your resume or LinkedIn profile. So this is the summation of what you will learn. Adopt new strategic thinking methods. Learn to define the brand positioning and brand idea. Write smarter strategic plans with each element of that plan. Be capable of making smart and creative decisions. And then using the analytics to lead a deep dive review. And yes, it's a lot of information. So let's get started on making you a stronger marketer for the future.